In one of the previous tutorial videos, I covered basic message editing, creating a simple text field with fixed information. In this video tutorial, we're going to be covering more of the advanced editing fields. So we're going to be covering the autocodes, that's putting in expiration dates, production dates, times, hours, minutes, Julian days, those sort of things. We're going to be covering user-defined fields. We're going to be covering block fields. We're going to be covering barcode fields, graphic fields, about the message editor, and count screen and the adjust screen. So with that being said, let's make a start. So in this first part, we're going to be covering autocodes. This is putting in variable information, usually to do with best before dates, time codes, that sort of thing. So we're going to create message, and then we're going to create new, and I'm going to call this time code. And then hit confirm. And last time in the first tutorial we saw we used the text field on the top there. We're going to go ahead on this one and use autocode field. And when we press that, we notice that it comes up with the left hand side, we've got time codes, and we've got date codes on the right hand side, a counter, and then shift codes. So in this first tutorial part, I'm going to cover time codes. So I'm going to hit the arrow on time codes. Now this is for specifically putting in hours, minutes, and seconds into a message. So on the top here we can see the format, hours, minutes, and seconds. So we can go ahead and change that format by hitting this recycle logo here. And you see it's changed from hours, minutes, seconds now to hours and minutes. Hit it again, hours, minutes, seconds, but without the colon in between each. Hit it again, hours and minutes again without the colon, just hours, just minutes, and just seconds. And then back to the first one, hours, minutes, seconds. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add that field into the message, and you can see right here it's now putting in hours, minutes, and seconds. And like before, I can go into the font, and now I can change the font size down to a 7 and move it around in the field. So that's a basic time code with predefined hours, minutes, seconds format. So that's time codes. Now if we moved over to date codes, we see we're on the left hand side now we have normal dates. On the right hand side we have expiration dates. A normal date is today's production date. It's going to be printing today's date. An expiration date is where we're printing a date that is 30, 60, 90 days or a year in advance to show the expiration of the product that we're printing onto. So for normal date, we're going into the arrow, and again, like the time codes, we're now choosing the format. Month, day, year with a backslash in between, day, month, year for the UK, day, month, year with the backslash, year, month, day with the backslash, month, day, 4-digit year, month, day, 4-digit year with backslash, day, month, 4-digit year, and so on. And we can scroll through these and see no end of different combinations. So I'm going to choose a month, day, year with backslash, 2-digit year, and I'm going to add that into the message. And you can see here again, it's got month, day, year, today's date, and again in the font, I can now change this down to a 7 dot font and move it around. So what if I wanted a date to show that was 30 days from the manufacturing date, to show that a product has a 30-day expiration? So again, I'm going to go into expiry date, and now it shows me days, months, weeks, years. And I can put a message, so 30 days would be this one, so we're going to go into days, and we're going to type in here 30 and enter. And then down here, again, as before, we have the format, month, day, year. This is what I want, a 2-digit month, 2-digit day with a 2-digit year. So I'm going to go ahead and add this. And you can see now we've counted 30 days on from today, and it's now the 19th of May 2020. As before, I can go into the font and I can change the font size down to 7 high and move it around. So what if we wanted the year format to change? For example, a 1-digit year or a 4-digit year. We would go into the year codes, and here we can select 4-digit, 2-digit, 1-digit, day of year, which is the Julian day, program year, program day of year. So, for example, if I wanted to manually put in the 2020 date into a message to hide the 2020, I would just go ahead and hit the plus key next to the 2020, and as you see, it's put it in there. So the last two to cover on date codes are rollover date and expiry rollover date. In a lot of applications in manufacturing, producers don't finish a batch until the end of a shift. That shift may roll over into the next day, but they need the same expiration date printing on their product from the previous day. By adding a rollover date, we can put here the rollover in so many hours. For example, if the shift doesn't finish until 6 o'clock in the morning, then you would want to code the same code throughout the whole day. Then you would add a rollover of 6 hours onto the day's manufacturing. Now the midnight would roll over to 6 a.m. and then the date change would take place at 6 a.m., not midnight. The expiry rollover date is identical, but with expiration dates, not manufacturing dates. There's two more tabs that we need to talk about in Autocode field. One is counter and the other is shift codes. Let's talk about counter here. Before we actually add a counter, we need to set the parameters of that count. For example, whether it's a 4-digit count, a 3-digit count, whether it's incrementing in 1, 2, 3 or 2, 4, 6, how many times it's repeating that count. So before we add a count, back into the message editing screen, we have to click on the Advanced tab, and then at the bottom we see the Counters button, and now we can start setting our parameters of the counter. So this is counter number 1. We're going to program, it's going to be incrementing in steps of 1. The start count is pretty much always going to be 1, not 0. And the end count, I'm going to make it a 4-digit count. So I'm going to change this to 4 digits. The leading zeros I need to be on because I need it to always be a 4-digit code. And the repeat is 0. The repeat is how many times you want each number to repeat itself. So 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3, etc. Now we've set this, we can go back into the edit message screen and we can go ahead and type in a new, and I'm going to do an autocode field and a counter and counter 1, and I'm going to add it. And there's my 4-digit code, and it's going to be incrementing in steps of 1 with the leading zeros. So the last part under the autocode field are the shift codes. And as per the counter fields, we cannot add a shift code until we have configured how many shifts, what the shift start times are, and what we want to print per shift. So to do that, just like the counter, we go back into the message screen and into the advanced button. When we go to the advanced button, we can see the counters where we were last time. We're going to go into date and time this time. Bottom left here, we see the shift codes. We're going to hit that button there. And here we see the 4 segments. Top right, we see the shifts, number of shifts. Top left, we see the shift we're looking at controlling or changing. The start time for shift 1 and what it's going to be printing. What it's going to be printing depends on the customer. It can be printing ABC, 1, 2, 3, or whatever the customer requires. So let's go ahead and change this to 3 shifts. Scroll down until we see the number 3 appear, and then shift 1, we're going to be starting at 6 a.m. 6 a.m. Confirm that, and then I'll leave this printing whatever it's going to be printing. Shift 2 now is going to be starting at 2 p.m. So put 2 p.m. in there, and that's going to be printing whatever it prints. And then shift 3 is going to be starting at 10 p.m. Put that in there. And again, it's going to be printing something different for shift 3. Once we've done all this, we can go back into the message. And now we can add a new, and we're going to go up into Autocode field and then into the shift codes and add a shift code. And it's now printing the correct shift code for the time it is currently. So in this next section, we're going to be talking about user-defined fields. Now, a user-defined field is one where the operator is prompted to enter in a code or a number prior to the start of that batch being printed. So for example, the prompt would come up when they select the message for printing. The prompt would come up, enter batch number. So let's go ahead and show you how to put that in. So I'm going to create another message. So message new, and I'll call this defined and confirm. And then the user-defined entry is right here under the text field that we talked about earlier. And let's talk about this screen. So on the top left, we have the ID. Now this is the actual prompt that's going to, for the operator, that's going to come up when she selects that message. So this may read, let's go ahead and change this. We'll delete back that one, and we'll put in enter batch. Okay, and then the right hand side is the length of that batch number. So it could be, say, for example, 5 digits long. So we're going to go ahead and change that to 5. The allow partial entry is set to yes right now. That means that it would accept any entry from 1 character up to 5 characters. So I'm going to go ahead and turn that no, because I want every number to come up to have those 5 characters in it. And then this left hand side, keep user data, I'm going to set that to no as well. This is basically saving the data. If you use this field many times, then this saves the data for later use. So I'm going to go ahead and add this now into the message. So there it comes up as X's. And just like before, we can go into the font and we can change the font down to a smaller size and move it around, no problems at all. So I'm going to go ahead and save this. And when I save it, it comes down there as defined. Now, when I select this message for printing, it's going to enter characters. The user-defined field is enter batch number. So I'm going to go ahead and type in the batch number for this production, and as you see, I've got 5 characters in there. It won't let me type any more in there. So now I'm going to confirm that, and when it confirms, you see it's put that batch number in the message for printing. So in this section, I'm going to show you how to add a block field into your message. Now, a block field is exactly what it says it is. It's just a block of dots or columns of dots. So in messages, we're going to create new, and I'm going to call this one block and confirm it. And the block field is right here under the autocode field. So I'm going to touch the arrow, and this is the block field setup. So block length is how many columns of dots do you want, and then the gap on the right hand side is what is the space between, or the gap between those columns. So I'm going to leave the gap as 0 because I want everything tight together. But on the block length, I'm going to go into here and I'm going to put in here 15. I need 15 columns. And when we've done that, we're going to press the add key, and that adds it into the message. So in this section, I'm going to demonstrate how to add a barcode into the message. So we're going to go into messages, and I'm going to create new, and I'm going to create a new barcode, and we're going to call it the message barcode, and I'm going to confirm. And the barcode field is right here underneath the user-defined field. So I'm going to click the arrow here. So let's explain this window a little bit. On the left-hand side at the top, we have the type of barcode that you want to put in. This is the symbology. There are many, many different types. Interleave 2 of 5 is one of them. And if I scroll through UPC-A, UPC-E, EAN13, EAN8, so as you can see, there are plenty of them. This will do not only one-dimensional linear barcodes, but it'll also do the 2D data matrix. And I think somewhere here, there we go, data matrix, and then I think the next one is a QR code. So it'll do the 2D data matrix and QR codes. For this example, I'm going to show you how to put in the interleave 2 of 5. The right-hand side, human readables, is on. That is the numbers underneath the barcode. To turn it off, you just hit the button there, and that turns it off. I want them on for this example. The checksum, it's set to automatically calculate the checksum. On all barcodes, there is the last digit is a checksum. This is a calculation using a formula that calculates all of the other numbers in the barcode, and it gives a number at the end so that you can quickly, as an operator, look at that barcode, look at that last number, and determine if all the other numbers are correct based on the value of that last number. These other two fields, we've got the user-defined field and the autocode field. We've talked about these in previous tutorials. The autocode field is for best before dates, time codes, those sort of numbers, and the user-defined is going to be a user or an operator prompted field for entering in batch numbers and those sort of things. So I'm going to hit the keyboard button, and this is going to bring up the keypad here, and I'm going to go ahead and enter the numbers. Now, because we put the checksum as auto, ITF has 14 digits. That includes the checksum. So I'm going to actually take off the checksum because we've got it automatically calculated. So I'm going to go and put in 13 numbers in this barcode. There's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and I'm going to hit enter. Now, when I hit add the barcode into the message, you will see the last number now becomes a 6, which is automatically calculated. Now, right now, we are printing at 16 dot height. This model is a model 88, so we're able to print 32 droplets. Now, to change the height of the barcode, we're going to go into the font, and there's two sections here. The template size is 16 dots, that's the actual template, and then the font size is 16 dots also. So I want to go ahead and change the template size up to 32, and then I'm going to go up to the font size and also increase the font size up to 32. Now we have a full height barcode. One thing to keep in mind with the barcode is the leading edge and the trailing edge of the barcode are what's called quiet zones. So when you're adding more text to this message, don't encroach on these quiet zones. They are part of the barcode. It's 5% of the total length of the barcode. If you put text in this quiet zone, then the barcode will not scan. So now if we go ahead and hit the save button, we've now saved that message as barcode. You see a preview there, and I'm going to go ahead and select that message for printing, and then you will get a visual see of that barcode interleaved 205 with the quiet zones in your message for printing. So in this short tutorial, I want to show you how to create a basic logo file or graphic file and then import that file to the Bestcode Series 8 CIJ printer. The software we're going to use for this is standard Windows Paintbrush software. So this is an image that I've created earlier, very simple little Pac-Man with the Bestcode text written straight after it. Couple of things to take note of when creating these images. The first is the size of the image has to be 32 dots high or lower. The 32 relates to the number of jets or the number of dots we have available on the CIJ printer, so it will not accept anything higher than 32 for a Model 88. And then once we've done that, we're going to go into the file and we're going to go save as, and this directory is also very important. So this is the USB drive that I'm saving it to, the thumb drive. This number relates to the version of firmware that your printer has. Now mine is 01, 04, 07, 06. Your printer may have a different version. So take note of what that number is there. And then it's going to go into the subdirectory of BC data, and then in another subdirectory called graphics. This is so that when we plug the thumb drive into the printer, it recognizes where the graphics are stored. This image I've called, or this graphic I've called Pac-Man. I'm going to go ahead and save it, but I'm saving it as a monochrome bitmap file. The printer will not accept any other file other than monochrome bitmap. So go ahead and save that, and then that image is now on the stick, and we can take that thumb drive now to the printer to upload it. So now with the printer off, I'm going to use a large flat-bladed screwdriver to open the cabinet door, pull that away. So now with the USB stick, I'm going to add the stick into the printer, into the USB port, just there. Once the USB stick is in place, we can go ahead and close the cabinet door and switch on the printer again. So with the printer back on, we're now going to upload the graphic that we created earlier onto the printer. And to do this, we're going to press the service key, and then we're going to go into Tools, and then we have on the top here, we have Backup and Restore. We're going to go Restore and hit the Graphics button. Once we've done that, we're going to do File Transfer and confirm that we want to do that. This has now moved the image from the stick to the printer. So if we go now and create a new message, and I'm going to call this one graphic. And I'm going to use the graphic field down the bottom here and find the graphic that we've just created called Pac-Man. There's a preview of it, there's the image, and I'm going to select it for printing and add it to the message. And again, we're going to have to go into the font and increased the template up to 32 dots high. And now you can see the graphic is brought into the message. Once we've done that, we can save the message. There's a preview of it, and I'm now going to select that message for printing. And again, you can see the image graphic right there